You ever wonder why so many new products just fail? I mean, companies spend billions of dollars trying to figure out what we want, but most of the time, they get it spectacularly wrong. Well, today we're diving into a really radical idea that could change all that. Think of it like a flight simulator, but for business ideas. This quote from an industry analysis just absolutely nails the problem, doesn't it? It's this huge, expensive headache. Businesses are essentially flying blind. They're making these massive decisions based on old school methods that just don't really work anymore. But just imagine for a second, what if you could just skip all of that guesswork? What if you could plug your idea into a simulation of the future and see exactly how people would react, not in months, but in minutes? Okay, so let's get into it, because to really appreciate the solution, you have to understand the massive scale of the problem. We are literally talking about $1 billion guessing game that companies are forced to play every single day. So here's the fundamental flaw in all traditional market research. It's this thing called the say-do gap. And look, we all do it, right? You tell a surveyor you'll definitely buy the organic, super healthy, sustainable option. But then you get to the store, it's your own money on the line, and you make a totally different choice. And this isn't just some gut feeling. Oh no, the evidence for this say-do gap is absolutely overwhelming. So let's dig into what the experts and the actual data are telling us about this huge disconnect. You've got industry journals like Quirk's calling this out directly. They're basically saying that relying on what people claim they'll do in a survey is a recipe for disaster. These tests aren't just slow. The feedback they give can seriously mislead huge business decisions and lead to some really costly failures. And this number says it all. That same report points to an 85% failure rate for new consumer packaged goods. Just let that sink in for a second. Nearly 9 out of every 10 new products you see on a supermarket shelf are destined to fail, and a huge reason why is this say-do gap. And this is a global thing. A massive survey by PwC, they talked to over 21,000 people. It confirmed it. Our best intentions, our aspirations, they consistently get overruled by real-world stuff, especially price. So if your research is only capturing what people hope to do, you're building your whole strategy on a really shaky foundation. So what happens because of all this uncertainty? Well, one practitioner, Henry Jones, he came up with the perfect name for it: the pilot purgatory. It's where companies get stuck. They're running these endless, underfunded pilot programs that never give them a clear yes or no, just bleeding time and money while going absolutely nowhere. Okay, so we've laid it all out. The problem is huge, it's expensive, and it's incredibly frustrating. So now let's talk about a fascinating new way out of this purgatory: artificial societies. So what are they? Well, the core idea here is to create these AI-powered digital populations. And we're not talking about simple random bots. These are complex, simulated people built using publicly available social media data. They're designed to think, to act, and to interact just like real communities do. So how does it actually work? Well, it breaks down into 4 basic steps. First, the system extracts personality traits from public data. Second, it uses that info to generate these really nuanced AI personas that even have memories. Third, these personas are grouped together to form virtual societies. And then, the cool part, you can run experiments on them instantly. Now, the team behind this idea, a startup called PixelX, they bring some serious expertise to the table. We're talking about specialists in generative AI and robotics who've worked at places like Google, Amazon, and the University of Tokyo. Their work's even been featured in places like Wired, which really tells you how innovative this whole approach is. So we have a really compelling idea from an experienced team. But the big question is, how does this fit into the world of market research as it exists today? Let's take a look at how it stacks up against what's already out there. This, right here, is the fundamental shift. The old way is always looking backward. You test on real people, you collect the data, you analyze what already happened. It's slow, it's expensive. This new way is all about looking forward. You simulate what could happen, which lets you test and tweak and perfect your idea before you ever spend a dime launching it. So let's break down the competition. You've got these heavy enterprise digital twins, but this approach is way more nimble and fast. Then you have real data analytics, but that only tells you what happened in the past. This simulates the future. And this last one is really the key. Other tools can generate individual AI personas, but they're static.
This technology builds living societies where these personas actually influence each other. That social dynamic is the secret sauce.
All right, so let's talk about the money. Because solving a problem this big isn't just a cool tech project, it's also it's a massive market opportunity. So the total addressable market, that's the entire global insights industry, is estimated to be worth over $70 billion. That's the whole pie that they're trying to get a slice of.
Of course, you gotta start somewhere, right? So the initial target market, just focusing on North America, is still a whopping $24.5 billion. That just shows you how much is being spent in this one region alone.
And here's the obtainable goal. The team figures that if they can capture just 1% of that North American market, they could build a business with a $245 million annual revenue run rate in just a few years. It's ambitious for sure, but it feels realistic. So we've seen the problem, this really elegant solution, and the incredible potential. But this kind of technology, it also brings up some pretty deep questions about where all of this is heading. And at the end of the day, that's the big question we have to ask ourselves. Is this the ultimate tool for empathy? A way to finally understand human behavior with real accuracy? Or are we just creating a simplified echo chamber that could actually lead us to misunderstand ourselves on an even more fundamental level? The answer to that could really shape the future of how we create things.